The Kourting Happiness podcast official merchandise store is now open. I am so happy to be able to share that with you. I'm Dr. Kortni Alston. I'm so happy that you're here. Your support makes a difference. Thank you so much for listening to the Kourting Happiness podcast. You know, it's so hard to believe that we started in 2020, and because of you, we've grown worldwide in the United States, India, Ireland, Australia, the United Kingdom, and more. Because of you, we've interviewed best-selling authors, scholars, podcasters, TEDx speakers, and entrepreneurs making a global impact. Because of you, FeedSpot has named Kourting Happiness one of the top 80 podcasts for workplace and happiness. Because of you, the podcast is helping people and organizations with their well-being one episode at a time. We share positive psychology, work from thought leaders, and inspirational stories that create inclusion, belonging, and the value of optimism. I'm so grateful for your support. Your purchase in this store contributes to producing the Kourting Happiness podcast and your commitment to the shared mission of helping with spreading workplace well-being and a happier life. Listeners like you help build Kourting Happiness programming that promotes positivity, well-being, and it supports providing a range of content that continues with the mission. We need your support to continue to grow and create content that spreads happiness. We hope you love wearing these specially made t-shirts, totes, and sweatshirts designed by me, and even inspirational cups too. Trust me, your morning coffee will love it. Every design is my thank you to you. So check out the Kourting Happiness merchandise store at drkortnialston.com/merchandise. That's drkortnialston.com/merchandise. Thank you so much for supporting Kourting Happiness. Now, let's get back to the podcast. Welcome to the Kourting Happiness podcast. This is a space where self-care becomes part of your day. A space where you learn evidence-based strategies to help your life, share it with those you love, and cultivate well-being at work. I'm your host, Dr. Kortni Alston. I'm a former news director, television reporter turned happiness scholar, TEDx speaker, and transformational trainer. I also understand hardships. While working my dream job in television, I lived a nightmare suddenly becoming a young widow after 86 days of marriage. I became committed to learning more about resilience, healing, and happiness. This is how I discovered my area of research, which is positive psychology. Now I'm living my calling of training individuals and organizations on happiness. And my new chapter begins with being happily engaged. The Kourting and Kourting Happiness is about a true courtship. I like to say commitment with happiness. The K in Kourting stands for the vulnerability of sharing my story, inspirational interviews with phenomenal people, the infusion of positive psychology, and so much more. You'll learn how to commit to your well-being one episode at a time. I hope you subscribe and share. So, are you ready? Let's get started. Welcome to episode 92. I'm Dr. Kortni Alston. Thank you so much for listening. I'm so happy that you're here. Hey, DJ, turn it up. There we go. Okay, I'll admit, I don't have a DJ. I don't have a DJ. It's just me. But have you ever thought about how music can change the tune in your workplace? Have you ever thought about turning on music at work? Well, I have some information that's going to have you kind of reevaluate adding music to your next agenda. I'm here to say, push the power button on, and of course, turn up the volume when it comes down to this podcast. So I want to share the great work of a scholar, Nan Mao, in researching the role of music therapy in emotional regulation and psychological stress relief of employees in the workplace. Now, you can read Mao's full scientific journal article by visiting our website at drkortnialston.com. That's drkortnialston.com/podcast/episode 92. Now, Mao urges us to really start thinking very deeply as relates to music in regards to specifically music therapy. Mao says it's not simple random process of playing music. And Mao compares it to psychotherapy, referring to it as ordinary psychotherapy. And with that being said, Mao says that ordinary psychotherapy and music therapy has a significant effect on staff. While psychotherapy focuses on conversing, music is entertaining. Mao also has this great really process in regards to what that can look like that I want to quote Mao specifically as it relates to this. So Mao says this, and I quote, ordinarily psychotherapeutic programs are mainly to change employees' wrong views on problems for treatment. This program cannot treat psychological problems caused by emotions, while music therapy can improve the emotional state of individuals. Music therapy can improve the emotional state of individuals. Matt provides really great information as to the table, and the table showcases really the effects of both ordinary psychotherapy and music therapy. And I have some great news when you when you start to look at this table, because it's some great news to your workplace. Now, ordinary is noted high cost, right? And in comparison to music therapy, which Mao says is low cost. So that's really great, right? When we're thinking about, can we add this to our budget? Almost really sounds can't afford not to. Some inspirational songs for your playlist. Kourting Actually, we have a music playlist and Spotify, a playlist that are kind of favorites. And I actually love to incorporate levels of music throughout my daily routine more as it relates to our playlist on Spotify by visiting the episode page of this podcast. Again, at drkortnialston.com/podcast/episode 92. So Mao shares that music therapy can have a positive impact on employees. What I really value is that Mao also shows different genres. So we get a chance to kind of get Mao's in on how certain music forms of music can really elevate in terms of providing a positive impact for employees. Mao talks about rap music. And Mao says that rap music can soothe people's hearts and inspire an optimistic and positive attitude in employees. And Mao mentions that sad music can stimulate employee kind of the nostalgia and imagination. So think about it. It can really, stimulating the employee's imagination can be great for innovation, right? Beautiful and soft music can stabilize an employee's emotion. And what I also value is that Mao mentions how it can not only stabilize the employee's emotions, meaning beautiful and soft music, which Mao qualifies beautiful and soft, but it can also have a calming effect. And soothing music can soothe like restless emotions and ease an employee's tension at work. So this really gives us a lot to think about, right, in regards to music in the workplace. Mao also says this in regards to the positive effects of music therapy. So previously, we learned about the impact, right? Now we're going to hear more about the positive effects of music therapy at work. And Mao says this, it can inspire employees to create inspiration. It can eliminate employee fatigue, as well as some potential disadvantages. It can also enhance friendships at work, which is great. I think it's also great to see commonality. Like, wow, yeah, that's my favorite song too. Or, oh, wow, I tell you, I listened to that song. I mean, I can hear the conversations already as it relates to that. Mao also says it can help employees as it relates to productivity, and it can reduce employee pain. Now, what's interesting is that during training sessions that I facilitate, when I'm sharing workplace well-being, and particularly with companies, it was interesting. I will share this. I remember facilitating a training session, and I'm training executives on workplace well-being, and these were a group of executives in regards to really helping them understand some information that can serve them as well as serving their teams, right? And so I provided the organizers some songs that I really value. And I've done this before in other training sessions. And what I loved was hearing the response about, wow, I love that song. Oh, wow, that's perfect song. Like it really helped kind of get them in the mood, but it also kind of set the tone for the training session. Now, the other interesting part is that I've done this several times for virtual sessions. So it's a great way to help with Zoom fatigue. You know, it's real. Zoom fatigue is real. So you might want to think about, okay, what can I incorporate maybe at the beginning of the meeting while people are like, where everyone is like logging on to the call, or maybe another organizer is letting people in to the virtual space, right? Let them in. You can have the music playing. I've also had it where I have participated in conferences, and in between, like when we're transitioning from one panel speaker to the other, or there's a huge break, I've seen organizations really leverage this by, playing music that in between those, I guess, those times that we're like waiting. So you have so many different ways that you kind of can incorporate that even virtually. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, okay, well, let's see what we can do in person. Although that's great, right? Doing it in person. But also, I want to also give you something that, you may not have thought about. Well, I can do that virtually too. Because I think we can understand, okay, wow, we could do it in person, right? But it's also great to see creative ways, innovative ways that can really spark some very unique approaches that can really increase the well-being of your team. So the next time your team needs pick me up, right? You can do this. Play music to lift the mood. Move your team. It can increase productivity, and it can also help with workplace well-being. And I hope that's music to your ears. Remember that your well-being is your most important job, and I am always here to cheer you on, and I'm always here to help. Thank you so much for listening. Let's continue this conversation online. Email us at podcast@drkortnialston.com. That's podcast@drkortnialston.com. Join us on Instagram at Kourting Happiness. Don't forget, that's courting with a K. Also, I hope you join our private Facebook community. You can find us at Kourting Happiness Podcast Community. Our private Facebook group is a safe haven to share, meet more people looking to build positive relationships, focus on well-being, and create a happier life. Now, are you ready to spread happiness? We hope you subscribe and share this podcast with your family, friends, coworkers, and all the important people in your world. We release a new episode every Thursday. Congratulations on your continued commitment to your courting happiness journey. Thank you so much for listening. We want you to be well, be happier, and be kinder to yourself. We can't wait to see you next week.